All right, guys, what is going on? Video number 8. So this week I've got a couple videos from my physical therapist, a trip I took to Dr. Lauren's. Just to recap, I saw Lauren for the first time. I've been working with her for years, but saw her for the first time after this injury 12 days after I had surgery. And so, that seemed a little quick, but I trust her implicitly. She's an expert, absolute master at what she does. And so I saw her 12 weeks post-op, and I've seen her every week ever since. And so the treatments that we've done are the exact same 3 treatments every single week. They've just increased in intensity as we've progressed. So I've got 2 videos from my last visit there. The first is some dry needling of the bicep. Man, if you don't like needles, fast forward through that part. I don't even like watching it myself. I just thought it might be interesting. Some folks are very familiar with dry needling. Some, I've heard of it, never seen it done. It is not acupuncture, very different from acupuncture. So you can see that here. The second video is some dry needling with stem. And so the same deal, we've got needles at various trigger points. I guess they're trigger points in the shoulder, bicep, tricep, and forearm. For this round, she actually put 4 needles in literally stuck them in my surgical incision, which looks pretty gnarly. You'll see it. And she actually explains kind of what's going on and why specifically we put needles in the surgical incision. So that's pretty cool. And then we finish up with some BFR training, blood flow restriction. I didn't get a video of that this week, but again, that's just, cuff goes around the shoulder, just below the shoulder, little dumbbell, just sit there and curl that sucker for a couple of sets of like 30, 20 reps at a time. So I'll get a video of that next go around, along with her voiceover, her explanation. I mean, when she explains kind of what's going on, why it's such a beneficial treatment, it's fascinating. It's really cool stuff. So definitely want to share that. As far as exercises go, training, pretty much the same as far as the exercises go, just increasing the weight a little bit on all of them. The one exercise Dr. Petruza introduced this week was the RDL, the Romanian deadlift. And so I'll say, my experience over the last 6 weeks, every time I introduce a new exercise or the first exercise, post all of this, the first set is just very unnerving for me. I think, it's probably more mental than anything else, but there's certainly a physical aspect there. In a lot of cases, I'm moving something or training something, with resistance that I haven't done, post all of this. And so you're just a little apprehensive. I don't know if that's just me. I imagine that's pretty common. But the first set is always kind of, and then that second set, or even the second week when you're doing the same exercise, even with a little bit more weight, you start to kind of find your groove again, and you start to trust the arm. Trust your PT telling you that you can do it and not get in harm's way. And so with RDL'S, that was definitely my experience. I kind of knew how it was going to be going into it. That first set, being very apprehensive and taking it real slow. And so we used, obviously a double overhand grip with straps, just to take the grip out, as much as we possibly could. Arms perfectly straight, elbows locked, so there's no kind of tension on the bicep. It's just, almost kind of think of it almost as like a very, kind of a heavily weighted stretch is really what you're trying to do. So I had it in my head, I just wanted to work up to 135, 2 sets of 10. And so the first set went about like I thought it would. It actually looked fine in the video, but mentally, like what was going through my head and how everything felt, is just a little weird. And again, I think that's probably more between the ears than anything else. But at any rate, I kind of knew that going into it. The second set felt much better. And of course, that's the video I've got is of the second set because it looked and felt a lot better. Also, this week I hit, I was really, really, really excited. I hit 135 for 10 on the Kabuki bar incline press. That wasn't really in the program, so to speak, but it was one of those things just for me mentally, there was just something there. It was just something I wanted to do to, I guess, prove to myself that, I don't know, I can't really explain it. I knew it was safe. It wasn't like a grind of a lift or anything, but just, these incremental sets of 5 that I've been doing have been great, but I just wanted to kind of get that done. And then from there, kind of go back to methodically increasing So I did a top set. The top set was 155 for 5, and then just back down to 135 for 10. So I've rewatched Andy Baker's videos a couple of times since, and I was watching his video he was like 11, 12 weeks post, which is exactly where I'm at. And he was talking about how he would basically train up to kind of a top set, one top set, kind of warm up to it, and then just do a back off set, and then that was it. So it was really 2 sets per exercise. And he was really liking it because the reduced volume, he felt like he could train again, 72 hours later. And that made a lot of sense to me because, I mean, again, if you're thinking about it, like on your main lift, if you're only doing really 2 working sets, and neither of those sets in my case are like to failure or anything, there's no reason, I don't think, again, why, 72 hours later you could press again, do another pushing session 3 days later. And so that's kind of what I'm experimenting with. And what he alluded to, I think and again, I should probably watch some subsequent videos. I think he was liking it so much that kind of once he got back into his training, he was really going to keep kind of the same template. I don't know if he's done that over the years. I haven't gone that far ahead yet. But for my own training, I mean, I'm 41 years old. I think anytime I can get volume to a place that I can continue to progress, but not get too much wear and tear, I think that's always a good idea. My stage of the game, so. I'm going to kind of, in theory, kind of stay with that template going forward, even once I'm, kind of back to normal. And so, again, lifting videos, I add just a set of seated rows. So I've got videos of that incline. It has some RDL'S, and then 2 exercises. One's just a seated cable row. And again, that's purely a rehab movement at this point. And you can see just kind of how I perform those, just very slowly controlled, sets of 15 reps, and then push-ups. So I've been wanting to do push-ups, and again, it's kind of a silly thing, but to me, like, boxing training, like, if you're not doing push-ups, you're not doing any boxing training. So I really want to get back to being able to just bang out push-ups. And asking Dr. Patrizio about it, he said, hey, let's wait on push-ups until your pressing movements are a little bit stronger. Because essentially with a push-up, you're kind of doing your body weight, right? And so, once the pressing strength gets to a certain point, then you can start kind of reintroducing push-ups. But in the meantime, you can reduce the load of a push-up just by simply, using a bar, kind of angling, basically doing like an incline push-up is the way to think about it. And so I use the kabuki bar on the rack. I'll show you that setup, just kind of how I did those, where I was able to train some push-ups, but not kind of at full body weight. So again, just some great milestones. Gratitude is the word that comes to mind. Again, just had a couple of huge kind of post-op PRs, and so I'm just really happy with this week. And again, just looking to take those small victories and continue to build week to week to week. So hopefully this stuff's been helpful for anybody who's going through this journey. And again, I'll post up next week, have some BFR training and just some continued progress. So appreciate you.
Yeah, it's hard for me to watch that.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool because my angle's
Yeah, 'cause
not
your
so
angle's-
great. So here we are. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 needles currently hooked to electrodes, and Lauren
Yeah, so basically what we're
expert.
doing is stimulating, function of the muscle. But then we have these ones here that actually are in the scar, and that's just to break up access scar tissue so that scar heals really good and doesn't get too thick.
So the purpose of having those needles in while the electrodes are going here, there's some downstream effect
Well,
happening
think
there?
what the needle's in there, and then every time it twitches, it's aggravating. So it's almost like turning over the cells.
Ah,
If that
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then it also helps with increased blood flow into the area, so it promotes the healing process. And it also, the longer the needles go, it starts to stimulate the area of your brain that controls the area, so your motor cortex is being activated. And then second is that if you had any issues with pain response, it naturally starts stimulating your body's own opioid production.
Wow. Your own opioid production.
Yep.
Gnarly.